back to True Seeking Rebels.
And today we're making serum.
Welcome back. And we're here to serve you some.
Hi guys,
welcome back to True Seeking Rebels. And we're here to serve you with some true serum.
Period. Do you like the intro?
I love it.
That's our new intro. And actually, we've missed this space so much.
Yes, we have.
We've missed this space so much. We are so happy to be back, and we are together. Finally,
yes.
That's such a big blessing.
Yes.
If you're watching this and you're new, if you don't know, we usually not in the same place. This is a long distance partnership, relationship, everything ship. So yeah, sometimes it's a bit hard to get episodes going, but we've been thinking of doing like, what are they called? Like even when we are far apart,
like a podcast.
Yeah, like a podcast, a virtual podcast.
Yes.
Tell us if that's something you would like.
Yes.
But we're here, and today we have a really interesting topic.
Yes.
And we're gonna be talking about inclusivity.
Yeah. And when you say inclusivity, you mean for queer people?
Yeah, for queer people
in all spaces, and why it's important to include queer people in all spaces. Yes.
That should be the workplace, the community, schools, I guess. Actually everywhere, because queer people are everywhere.
Yes.
And what prompted this topic? Is there something that happened?
You know what? Yes. What prompted this topic is I remember when my partner and I were starting this podcast, True Seeking Rebels. It's because we wanted to be inclusive. No.
Yeah.
To be represent. We wanted to be like
representation.
Yeah, representation for queer people.
Yeah.
Because we hadn't seen a lot of people doing like podcasts like us.
Yeah.
Like
especially in the Kenyan context.
In the Kenyan context.
Kenyan podcast.
So and just like since we started this podcast, like I think it was 6 months ago, we have seen how much like people are always in our DMs saying how much we inspire them. We've seen couples, coming out and doing their thing on TikTok and in other social media platforms. People are not afraid anymore. So that is why like representation matters. Someone saw us and they were like, you know what, I want to be just like them. I'm just going to live my life unapologetically and just be myself. So we want to create an environment or to teach or to even inspire others to do such things in all spaces, not just in the social media space, but also in the workspace, in all areas, in the communities,
wherever, because people are everywhere and everyone wants to be included.
Yes.
And I think that's funny because even for me, before I came out online, I used to see queer couples and a few queer Kenyan couples here and there, and I was like, wow, like I wonder how that feels like to just be out of the closet and you don't really, you're not panicking just by the thought of it. And I really found that inspiring. So now that it's taken at 180 and now we get to inspire other people to just be themselves and be authentic, even if it's not coming out of the closet. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something else, but I think it will come as we go along.
Yeah. So we do have a list of a few things we want to cover on this topic of inclusivity. So my partner here is gonna pull up a list.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna discuss. Yeah.
I think I would want to know what inclusivity is for you.
Yeah. For me, I feel like inclusivity for me is like just walking into a space and seeing someone and feeling like I can relate to them, or I can see them and feel like, oh, I can just go. I can go up to that person, talk to them, and feel like I can be myself, I can be authentic, and that person has to be, let's say for instance, if I am talking about inclusivity in the queer space, for instance, if I walk into like a social event, and let's say I see someone wearing like a queer bracelet, right? I can just walk up to them and be like, oh my gosh, you're wearing that queer bracelet. You know, they could be an ally, they could be, you know, queer.
Yeah.
That is representation. Also, walking into like a job interview and walking into the door and seeing someone having like just a poster saying this is a safe space, that is inclusivity, you know.
Okay.
That person maybe they're not even queer, they could be an ally, you know. Yeah, so that's
but it instantly makes you feel like, oh, okay, yes. I'm safe here.
Yes.
I really like that.
Yes.
Yeah. I think to me inclusivity is feeling supported.
Yes.
Like you know how you could be in the room or part of the conversation, but it's like you're just there for, what are they called? The eye hires. Like you're there to meet the quota, the black woman, the Spanish person, the queer person. But like now when you take it a step further to make me feel supported, to make me feel like my ideas are heard, I'm seen. You know, maybe for example, if I'm able differently, yes, you've hired me, or maybe we're in the same room, but I can see structures that are there for me. Like there's a ramp. I'm not just there to get a number, you know.
I love that. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, she just hit the nail on the head. She hit the nail on the head. That makes so much sense. Just walking into a space and feeling like you're supported, like it's like they're almost anticipating
exactly like, your value. Like, you feel like these people like me. You know, it's not just like, okay, you sit there. You're gonna give us, you're meeting the quota for women in the company. I'm just, you know, it's actually like, okay, you have an idea, Michelle. Okay, let's hear it. Okay, that's nice. Let's, you know,
that's beautiful.
And I really like what you said because, you know, even me when I walk into places and I see someone with like a rainbow flag or something to do with allyship, I instantly feel much safer, you know.
That's true.
And that's such an underrated feeling, I think.
It is.
And the fact that they're able to do that, it means the space is already enabling them to do that. Like, it's already safe, right?
And it's also important for like people who are queer, like to be that person, you know, that let's say for instance, for me, if I walk into a job and I see you, maybe you're wearing that bracelet or something that represents the queer community, I can walk up to you and feel like, if it's, for instance, it's a job interview, I'm not gonna be scared because I feel like I'm not gonna get that job because I'm queer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not something you have to hide. Like you're not gonna be there like, hi, I'm gay. But like it's not something, if it comes up, it's gonna ruin anything.
So if you're queer and you're in the job space, please be a representation for us. There's so many queer people who don't have jobs. They don't have places to live just because of them being queer. If you're a queer landlord, come on.
I know.
Like and there's so many like in the job, like in the task force and in jobs, there's so many people who are losing people who are very talented, who are queer, because they can't hire them because they are queer. And these people can change. I'm telling you, they can change your, like if you're a, let's say you're a boss, they can bring you so much money.
Exactly.
And just because of that, until now this person
One
is queer.
thing about them, you just threw them aside. Like,
so if you're queer, please represent us. Include us.
And you know, I like what you said. Like, if you're the queer person, if you're able to do the representation, and I'm like, one of the reasons why I came out when I was starting my YouTube channel is because I knew I wanted my content to be about being queer. I wanted to represent, and even sometimes when I wear the bracelet, honestly, personally for me, I feel like the bracelet is not that cute. Don't come for my leg. Don't come for my neck. Like, I think maybe it depends on what you're wearing it with, the design, but just the plain rainbow bracelet. It's not that cute, but I wear it for the statement, not the aesthetic, you know, so that if you see me and maybe you need help or something, you know, you can come up to me or, you know,
yeah.
Hey guys,
I love that.
I love your definition. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can talk about why representation is important. Yeah.
I would say representation is important because there's so many people who are queer who are struggling in isolation. They don't know that there's someone like you who exists. And if they knew that, if they had that kind of like representation, they wouldn't be suffering as much. Like for me personally, growing up, I didn't have anyone to even look up to. I didn't have anyone to like, you know, to have like a role model, let me say. Like I knew I was gay from a very young age, but I couldn't even talk to anyone about it because I didn't have that kind of representation. I feel like if I did have that kind of representation, I would have come out of the closet way sooner, and I wouldn't have gotten into some situations if I had that kind of representation, because it's like I was walking through life blindly. So I feel like representation is important because some of these people have someone like to look up to, and when I say people, I mean queer people. They will have someone to look up to, someone to be a role model, someone who they can even, let's say, DM and be like, hey, I'm going through this, which is something me and my partner here, we get a lot of people who come into DMs who are having so many issues that they don't know how to like deal with, but because we've already had that kind of experience, we're able to even walk with them and show them the way. So for me, I feel like that's why inclusivity and representation matters.
And no, I think for a lot of the people who actually come to us for like they're going through something, most of them, something they often say is they don't have anyone they can talk to about this. Someone who's also queer, and most of the time actually the people in their lives don't even know that the person is queer. So it's really nice to, be that representation. And I like what you've said as well. Like if you had representation, you wouldn't have gone through some of the things that you did. And I feel like a lot of queer people go through that. And sometimes it really ends up affecting people. It's part of the compulsory heteronormativity, because that's what society feeds you from a young age. You learn that you're supposed to be with a boy. After that, you're supposed to be the man. You're supposed to have kids. Like there's this whole path that's set. But from a young age, like for me personally, I knew I was gay from a really young age, like primary school, kind of young. Luckily for me, I did have someone who was also queer, and I was able to realize, okay, at least there's someone. But it still felt like, oh my gosh, if this is ever discovered, I'm gonna die. Like despite me knowing from a young age. But wow, that's really powerful. I wonder how things would have turned out for me too if I had like a lot of representation. And in this case, I mean representation by Kenyan or African queer women, not just other people outside of this continent. Because I feel like sometimes the social dynamics are really different, So I would really wonder, like I feel like it would have been so helpful.
I bet it would.
Even with the things that we've gone through, like coming out, even like something like investing with your partner.
Imagine.
How do you do that? The systems are not set up for you, adoption.
I love that.
All those things.
Yeah. And if you guys want us to talk about all that stuff, we will. We'll do research. Some of them we haven't experienced
them, some of them.
But you know what? This is why inclusivity and representation matters. Talking about inclusivity and representation, I remember when I first came out, actually, I didn't first come out. When I first introduced my partner to the world, I remember.
It's me, I'm the partner.
I remember there's one classmate of mine who reached out to me, and they were like, "Oh wow, like your is Isabel, you're gay? Oh my gosh, I didn't know, And then they work in a that person is a professional in a certain field, and they were like, hey, if you guys ever need like this this kind of help, I'm here to help you. And that person is not like, he's not in the community, but that's an allyship,
that's an ally.
So sometimes representation matters and inclusivity matters, whatever. If you're speaking about your truth, people will come out and help you. Not everyone, of course, you have to be careful and have to be safe, but it's important also to, when you're inclusivity means you're speaking your truth, you're you're showing who you are, you're showing up authentically. So you will find people who are coming to people who are coming to you with help, or they're just interested, they want to include you. Thank you. They want to include you, in the society, because the thing about being queer and being gay, a lot of people are like, why do you have to come out of the closet? You don't have to come out of the closet. But yes, you do. We do
closet police.
Out. Because we have to come out because we want to be part of the community. A lot of us are like,
just living down low.
We are all human beings. This world is for all of us.
It's for all of us. There's enough space for all of us. And being our true selves, not being on the down low, just being who we are. And it's like, just because we're included doesn't mean there's less for someone else.
No.
The pie is still the same. We all just can have a piece.
So it's important.
I really like that. Okay. Let's talk a bit about inclusive language. Like, for me, for example, let's say in the queer context, like the way we've said, it can be a diverse group of people. Maybe there's someone who's transsexual, there's someone who's asexual, there's someone who's demisexual, graysexual, whichever, like wherever someone fits in the umbrella. I feel like sometimes language can be a really big thing.
It is.
Not sometimes, all the time actually. Even something like pronouns and how someone wants to be referred to. There's no way I'm going to tell you I like to be referred to as maybe they, but you keep insisting to refer to me as she. It's like, okay, I'm part of the room, yes, but am I really included? Like, are my feelings included in this conversation? Am I valued here? Am I respected? Because I feel like part of inclusivity is also respecting someone, respecting their beliefs, and even if you disagree, as long as they're not harmful and they're not harming anyone, So
I love that.
I think language is a really big part.
I love that. And I love that when I first met my partner, I love that how she used to like refer to people. Like if someone is like they, them, she would call them they. Me, I wasn't used to it because I just came out of the closet like maybe 3. So I haven't been able to hang out with a lot of people in the queer community, but I'm learning as I go. But I just loved how much respect she has for like, people's genders and all that. And it's not a must for someone to call, people are entitled, people have their own opinions, but inclusivity, representation, why does it matter? If in a job place, like you're going for an interview and someone is like, hey, because some jobs, they will like people who are like, they're very respectful of people's like, genders and all. You'll hear someone asking you in an interview, how do you like to be referred as?
By the way.
They will ask you.
That's usually a very good sign of a workplace.
That's a green flag. So that's how I feel like language really matters. I don't know much about it, but I try so much to learn from my partner, so much. And also I do some research and stuff.
You do.
So
but the one thing I really like about you, like you really like to learn. It's like I feel like learning for you is so easy.
You think so?
I feel like it's so easy. Guys, my partner reads books like this. Maybe I haven't finished it since the beginning of the year, but I really love that about you.
Thank you.
And it's a learning journey. Even me, I've still things I don't know, so many things. And the thing about inclusivity is the more people come out of how they feel and things they've gone through, the more we are able to find space for them. And that means you'll never stop learning. We will never stop learning about inclusivity, because different people have different like issues and people want to be represented differently. And I don't think there'll ever be an end to that learning curve,
Yeah.
And something too about language, I think also there's some people who are just never sensitive about the language they use.
No.
It's like, okay, let me try to think of a subtle example. Like, there's no way you'll tell me your workplace is inclusive when it comes to queer people, but you refer to them as mashoga. Guys, I'll put down the translation. Okay, one thing about that word, I feel like the queer community has reclaimed it,
yes.
and it has owned it, and it's no longer like a shameful thing. But in such a space, if you're referring to the queer community as that, already it sets the tone to know that, kwanza, if you find it's a high-ranking employee, like a managerial position, referring to queer people like that, just know down there it's even worse most of the time.
Yeah.
So watch out for the languages you use. If I tell you I like to be referred to as Michelle, let's keep it at Michelle.
Yeah.
You don't need to call me Mishi. You don't need to call me. I'm joking, but you get the gist, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
I hear you. And people who work in HR, if you're queer and you're working in HR and you can't have, first of all, you can't have a friend who's queer and you say that you're always saying, oh, yeah, I'm an ally, blah, blah, blah. But when you go to the workplace, you're HR and like you get all these complaints about people being bullied because of being gay, and you keep quiet.
And you do nothing.
Yeah, you have to do something.
Literally nothing.
Yeah, that's part of representation.
I know.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, one side of it is that fear of losing your job.
Okay.
If the workplace is homophobic. But I think another part of it is also just being comfortable being abused. I don't know, that sounds so wrong. But even today I was watching a TikTok video and they were talking about this grape jokes.
Okay.
And you might find someone who's been a victim of that participating in laughing. And you're just like, wow, you're literally what's it called? Being complicit to that stereotype being perpetuated, And it's like the same goes for that example. You're an HR. Someone has come to you with multiple complaints. They're being, abused based on their sexuality or whichever. It doesn't even have to be about sexuality. But because the society, the norm is to be homophobic, you're too scared to even like do your job.
That's true.
Even when the threat of losing your job is not there, you're just too comfortable because the society has normalized homophobic BS.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's so sad.
Yeah. Represent us.
Represent us, please. Okay. Maybe we can also talk about accessibility. How can we make environments accessible to everyone, including people with disabilities? This includes physical access, digital access, ensuring information is available in multiple formats. Maybe we can start with digital access. Like, do you know some websites? It's not common, but some websites actually have like text to speech, because a lot of times designers and website owners and software engineers, they tend to forget that there's some deaf people who actually use websites, and that's part of including someone.
How can we in the digital space? How can we include queer people in the digital space?
How can we include queer people in the digital space? Well, I think queer people are doing a good job including themselves. Starting with us here. We're not waiting for permission. We've included ourselves. There's space for us and we are taking it.
We are taking it by force because we actually entitled to it.
Yeah,
we're
human. Just by that fact.
Yeah, by that fact.
We are human.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
Mm-hmm.
okay, when I think of queer people in the digital space, I usually think of queer activism.
Okay, that makes
so that's
that,
why
I love that.
I usually go straight to like content creation, because through content you can advocate, but also there's a safety side to it. Maybe if someone is looking for access to a safe house, is there a way for them to access that information digitally, or do they have to know someone physically? That's like a big hurdle. If I'm going through something, I need somewhere to sleep, like maybe I'm going through violence, or is there somewhere I can actually find that information? Do I need to know someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone? You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love what she said, my baby said here, because like even us just being in this digital space, speaking our truth, we've met so many people in our DMs trying to look for help.
Yeah, a lot.
Help that, because they know we're in the queer space, they know we might have access to that kind of help. So they'll come into our DMs, and then because my partner here is like, she has access, more access to those kind of things. Communities. Thank you. She has more access to communities that are able to help in that way. She's able to direct these queer people who need this kind of help to that direction.
Yeah.
So sometimes if someone knows that you're queer and this is what you stand for, they will come to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, guys, so sorry.
Yeah,
our lights gave out, but we're gonna continue.
Yeah,
we won't stop because of that. Yeah. Also, like when it comes to accessibility, the example we were talking about, if someone is maybe they're on a wheelchair, do they have ramps?
Yeah,
or do they have to, like, I don't know, face staircases? Like that doesn't even so it's like, yes, you've brought them, they're part of the conversation, but are they actually valued? Are they included? If someone is like, for example, I don't know if this word is offensive, I'm not sure if it is, I'm really sorry. If someone has like dwarfism, like, do they have to reach for sinks up there in the sky, or are there actually facilities for them? Such small things. It might be small to you, but the next person who has that, can make a world of a difference. Can really make them feel valued.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah.
So, like for instance, like where I went to college, there was like certain communities for different people. Like there was like a Christian fellowship thing. There was I think just groups. There was a group for LGBTQ people.
Oh, nice.
There was a group for people who like to sing, dance, whatever groups. That's what inclusivity means. Having a little space for people like us in the big. It's like being, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's inclusivity. So that it can feel like even as we have like a space in this, like, community, big community of human beings. Because most of us queer people, we are excluded from we are not seen as human. We are seen like, these people see us like rejects, So
that narrative, we are not agreeing to.
Yeah, we are not agreeing to it. And sometimes it takes us personally to fight for that space.
Yeah.
And people don't see why we do it as queer people, but we have to fight for it. We have, like, for me personally, I am fighting for the future generation because I don't want them to go through what I went through. That's why I stand boldly as a queer person, because I want, even if someone in the future, a child who's gonna be queer, a child who's gonna know who they are in the next 20 years, they're not gonna feel like they're excluded because we spoke, because we fought to be included. They're gonna be able to have a space in the humanity community.
Yeah,
something like that.
I like that.
Yeah,
I really like that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I'm just here thinking like, wow, is that how it feels like to go to a college that's not here?
Yeah,
you get to have like LGBT groups. Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Yes, it feels good. I never personally, I think I went to only one of those. Like I used to see people like in the queer community meet up, but I was so scared. I wasn't out of the closet. I feel like if some of my friends saw me going there, or someone told them that I went there, I felt like I couldn't handle the shame. You know.
My God.
Now that I look back, I wish I would have gone to such things, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the future has queer hangouts. You know.
I mean,
and speaking of queer hangouts, guys, we were supposed to have movie night this month, but we've had to postpone it to October.
Yeah.
So please watch out for the details. We're gonna leave them here. It's gonna be a movie night / picnic, and we're gonna get to hang out. It's queer people only. So why would you not come? Why would you not come if you're queer? If you're not, maybe next time. Yeah, if you're an ally, also next time.
Yeah.
Okay. We can also talk about unconscious biasness.
Unconscious biasness.
Yeah,
Okay.
unconscious biasness.
Okay.
Like, I think, for example, even me, I went through that. Do you know, as a queer person, you can still be homophobic?
Yeah.
Like,
people don't know that.
When I discovered that, and then I recognized some things I used to do, I was like, wow, that was actually internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
You know, or for example, okay, I personally didn't go through that, but there's this stereotype in the queer community of how bisexual people are promiscuous, they're gonna cheat on you, they're gonna show you dust and all these things.
Sometimes you find like queer people, like let's say the lesbians. I'm not saying it's a thing, but it could be. Like the lesbians, like they're like, you know, us lesbians, we don't face as much a backlash as the gay men.
True.
You know, like for us, like because now we don't face as much backlash. We feel, oh, we're safe, but when we see our fellow queer men or gay men going through, like, you know, backlash and stuff, we're not speaking up about it.
Yeah,
we're like, oh, it's not us, so we're not gonna
us
talk.
We're good.
That's bias. Yeah, that's bias.
That's
definitely. Yeah. So if we are all queer, we are all going through the same kind of emotions, you know, the kind, like the isolation and all that. So we understand what queer men go through, you know. So if you're there and you're biased of queer men, we see you.
Yeah, you need to like do some inner work, you know.
And queer men, you're invited here to Seeking Rebels.
Exactly.
That this is a safe space for you guys.
Come on, come all.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. Maybe we can have one last point. The points are a lot, guys, but we'll just do one last one and then like 2 questions for each other. So, creating safe spaces.
Creating safe spaces. For safe spaces, I feel like once you show up authentically as who you are, like, for instance, for us, we're queer, so everyone knows we're queer. So when queer people are in a quagmire and they don't know who to turn to, it's so easy for them to come to us because they know that we are not gonna judge them, right?
True.
And also, like, if we're in, I feel like in job spaces, I feel like I'm so passionate about job spaces and like work spaces, to have that kind of representation and to have people who are safe and to educate. Education is very important. Us as queer people, to educate our fellow, you know, co-workers, and also, like, especially here in Kenya, you know, it's not like in HR, that thing is like not even, I don't feel like, maybe there are some jobs that they have HR and bosses who are tolerant. But for instance, like, if you're in a job space where, you know, it's not tolerant as a queer person, if you see someone who's been hired who looks kind of queer, kind of lost, kind of, you know, trying to figure out how to fit in that job space, be a mentor for them. I feel like that
would be nice. And for me, like, I think you've said everything important about creating safe spaces. I just want people to recognize that having a safe space doesn't have to be anything big. It can just be you, within you. The fact that someone might know that, you know what, I can go to Isa, she knows how to keep a secret. That's you being a safe space. The fact that someone can tell you they're queer and you don't out them, that's you being a safe space, you know? Or even you and your small group of queer friends, just having your hangouts, you know, even if it's indoors, just catching up, that's already a safe space.
Yeah.
So when we think of safe spaces, sometimes also think of what you can do to create it, you know, not just like something big out there and it's an organization, no, just something that you can.
Yeah, and you can also be a safe space for yourself.
Exactly.
Don't
Wow.
go to spaces that you feel like you're getting drained.
Exactly.
Protect yourself first.
Yeah. You come first.
You come first. Yeah.
Protect yourself first. And be a safe space to yourself.
To yourself first. You don't have to share with everyone your sexuality if you don't feel safe.
No.
Yeah. Read the room, you know,
And that also means don't be homophobic to yourself. Yeah, because the entire homophobia is real.
Yeah, don't beat yourself down. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe 2 questions. Can you share an example of when you felt included or excluded in a particular setting? What made the difference?
Included, excluded.
Either.
I would say for me, I would say excluded. That's why I'm so passionate about like workplaces being inclusive. I remember one job I worked in where there was this guy. I mean, let me tell you, like where I work, like they always talk about like, hey guys, they say they include everyone, they're not prejudiced, but this guy, he wouldn't stop talking about trans people.
Oh my God.
And he wouldn't stop. He was just going off and just saying some malicious things, blah, 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 blah. Like I used to argue with him so much, I stopped because he was draining me and no one else would speak up, you know. And if you go to HR, they're not doing anything. This person has been working at this job for over 30 years and they have this kind of like, you know,
power,
you know. It's like you feel helpless, you know, in such kind of an environment because even the other people don't even care, you know. So I felt so excluded in that kind of environment. I feel like if we had like people who see other people as human beings in such spaces, like a HR person who sees another person as a human being, that would have been cut at the point where you take that to HR, it's done.
It's dealt with,
It's dealt with immediately, you know.
Oh wow!
Because that's bullying, you
that's
know.
Bullying.
Yeah, and they don't know if someone else in that, you know,
is trans.
Yeah, and that person doesn't go around telling people that they're just doing their job, doing their thing, you know. Yeah.
That's actually bullying, and that's so sad.
Yeah.
And it's so disgusting to see adults who are bullies. Like,
it is very disgusting.
Such weird energy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. The camera cut off again. But I was just saying how for me it was also, I felt excluded. I think I have experiences in either side, but I'll give an example of excluded. And this is in terms of my body. So this one time we are going for a job retreat, whatever the games they do. And it's time to give out like t-shirts for everyone. And guess what? These guys only had up to a medium. And I'm just like, wow. So I'm supposed to squeeze into a medium as if you guys didn't know, like there's more than a medium in this room. You know, there's bigger people in the room. That was so exclusionary, I guess. So everything around you, like just always check out, are you being inclusive? Are you being the a-hole in the room, or are you being the inclusive person in the room? And the last question, we're actually gonna just put it out there and everyone can go and think about it, and then maybe we can chat about it in the comments.
Let's do it.
So what are some practical steps we can take to challenge our own biases and become better allies for marginalized communities?
Oh, I love that.
Make it personal.
Yes.
Make it personal. Please. And let's meet in the comments. Yeah, guys. And that's the episode for today.
We miss you guys so much.
So much.
Yeah, we're going to create some more content for you guys. Please stay tuned. please follow us.
Yeah.
We're on
Please
Spotify,
subscribe.
subscribe on
Mhm.
YouTube. You know, like
Spotify, follow us on Spotify. TikTok. Actually, TikTok. I think TikTok is our most best performing platform.
Yes.
Yeah. And please come through for our event. It's gonna be a movie night / picnic.
Yes.
You're gonna meet amazing queer people there. Please come. Come one, come all, come queer people.
Yes.
Yeah. And thank you so much for watching
Okay,
this.
guys. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.